In the chaos of our modern world, we are promised everything and given nothing. You are told to work hard, to hustle, to manifest your dreams. So you start with a fiery motivation, a clear vision, maybe even a new journal and a fresh to-do list, believing this time will be different. But the moment you sit down to start, the war begins. A notification from your phone. An email flashes on your screen. A sudden urge to check the news, to organize your desk, to do anything but the one thing that truly matters. Your mind, a battlefield of thoughts, starts to rebel. This isn't just laziness, it's a profound, almost invisible inner resistance. This is the silent war your brain wages against itself, the one it's winning every single day. You aren't a victim of external noise. You are a victim of an internal mechanism wired to seek comfort and avoid discomfort. Your brain sees the hard task, the deep work, the difficult conversation, the disciplined action, and immediately flags it as a threat. It screams, "This is hard. This will hurt. Find an easier way." This is where procrastination lives, in that small but powerful moment of hesitation before the action. You are not busy. You are distracted. You don't have a time problem. You have a focus problem. You don't lack motivation. You've accepted the delusion that constant movement equals meaningful progress. Meet Andrew. Andrew is you. He is all of us. He has dreams as big as a mountain, a vision of who he wants to be. But his days are a cycle of frantic activity that leads nowhere. He wakes up tired, grabs his phone, and tells himself he's being productive by checking emails in bed. He gets to work late, opens 15 tabs, and bounces between tasks. His packed schedule is empty movement. He goes home exhausted from being busy, but he has nothing to show for it. He is a distraction addict lying to himself. The brutal truth is most people are genuinely productive for only a few hours a day. The rest is avoidance, fake work dressed up as effort. And this is why motivation is a lie. You cannot motivate yourself out of a delusion. You must first face the ugly truth and accept you've been lying to yourself. Reality does not care about your excuses. The way out is not through more effort, but through something far more profound. It begins not with action, but with a different kind of awareness. An honest, brutal self-assessment that reveals exactly how far you have to go. Miyamoto Musashi taught that the warrior's way is a twofold path of both the pen and the sword. To master both, you must first know where you truly stand. The journey to disciplined action is not an external fight, it's an internal awakening. The first step is to simply notice your mind's resistance without judgment, without fighting it. It is about understanding that the path to forcing your brain to do difficult things is not about aggression, but about a quiet, brutal awareness. You see your life in a way that is not how it truly is. You believe you're moving forward, but in reality, your days are a series of frantic and exhausting movements that lead you nowhere. And the worst part is, you've convinced yourself that this is an inherent problem, a flaw in your character that makes you weak. But it's not. The first step on this difficult path is to face this reality without judgment, without the need to immediately fix it. This is the first principle of the Lotus Method. Awareness. True change doesn't begin with more effort, but with radical honesty. It is the ability to sit down and look at your life not as you wish it was, but as it truly is. The brutal truth is a mirror that shows you the gap between your aspirations and your actions. This is not about self-punishment. It is an act of clarity. It is accepting everything exactly as it is, not as you wish it would be. This is the foundation upon which all discipline is built. Miyamoto Musashi taught that a warrior must master the twofold way of pen and sword, training both mind and body equally. The greatest warriors don't celebrate their victories. They disappear into a cave for 2 years to study their weaknesses, to understand what almost defeated them. This is the essence of a warrior's mindset, a brutal, unwavering self-assessment. So, how do you apply this? Stop lying to yourself. Track your real time, your real energy, and your real effort for 1 week. See the ugly truth in the numbers. You are not busy. You are distracted. You don't have a time problem. You have a focus problem. You don't need more hours. You need to make better use of the ones you have. This revelation, this painful awareness, is the starting point. It's the moment you stop fighting and start seeing. It's the moment you realize that your packed schedule is just empty movement, and your exhausting days are self-inflicted. When you realize this, you will face an even greater challenge. Your mind, which has resisted difficult things for so long, will fight back. It will tell you that the truth is too painful and that the change is too hard. This is where most people fail. They have the awareness, but they fall into the trap of resistance, trying to force a new reality with a rigid plan. Musashi knew that rigid plans fail against reality. He knew that the mind, just like an opponent, can't be defeated by force alone. It must be met with something else. Not a frontal assault, but a fluid, harmonious approach. This is what brings us to the next step. Once you see the truth, you must learn to let go of the struggle. You must learn to release the resistance itself. You've faced the ugly truth. You've seen the gap between who you are and who you want to be. And now, the natural impulse is to fight. To force yourself to change, to create a perfect, rigid schedule that leaves no room for error. But this is where the second mistake is made, and where the mind's resistance becomes a trap. This is where you must learn the second principle of the Lotus Method: letting go of the struggle. This is the art of Wu Wei, a Taoist concept often translated as non-action or effortless action. It's not about being passive or giving up, but about flowing with the reality of your mind's nature instead of fighting against it. When Andrew first realized the truth about his distractions, his response was to create a brutal schedule. Wake at 4 a.m., 2-hour workout, 8 hours of deep work, cold showers, meditation, reading for 2 hours every night. It was a military precision plan with zero flexibility. He thought he could smash his old habits with force. He failed by noon of the first day. This is the common and fatal error. You see your weakness, so you create a perfect plan, but when reality hits, you fail and quit because you're not disciplined enough. The truth is, you're not water enough. Musashi wrote that water adopts the shape of its receptacle. This is not about being flexible and passive, but about not fighting reality with fantasy plans. In his early career, Musashi never used the same weapon twice in his first 20 duels. He used a sword, a spear, a wooden stick, or his bare hands, learning that a rigid plan fails against reality. Water doesn't break a rock by force, it wears it down with persistence. Your mind is a complex river. If you try to build a dam to stop it, you will only create more pressure, more struggle, more emotional friction. Instead, learn to flow with it. Don't force yourself to do a 2-hour workout. Start with 10 push-ups. Don't demand 8 hours of deep work. Start with 25 minutes of focused effort. This may seem pathetic, as Andrew thought. But by the end of the second week, he had done 70 push-ups and 175 minutes of focused work without failing once. This is the genius of the Wu Wei approach. You're making the task believe it's defeating you while you are actually winning. Your brain expects you to quit after 10 push-ups. You do 11. It expects you to give up on page 1. You read to page 2. Each small win rewires your identity. You become someone who doesn't quit. You discover that discipline is not about heroic, dramatic efforts, but about consistent, flowing adaptation. Within a month, Andrew was waking up naturally at 5 a.m., working out for 45 minutes, and getting 4 hours of deep work done, not because he forced it, but because he flowed toward it. He had let go of the struggle and allowed his discipline to become as natural as water. But once you begin to flow, once you start to move with purpose, a new challenge will emerge. You must find a place to pause, to gather your strength, and to find true clarity. The way of the warrior isn't just about movement, it's about stillness. You've learned to face the brutal truth of your own weaknesses. You've tasted the liberating art of not fighting your own mind, of flowing around obstacles like water. But this is not enough. Movement without a clear direction is still just a dance with chaos. This is where most people, having seen some initial progress, fall into a new trap: the desire for constant action. They are always on, always hustling, unable to sit still. This frantic energy is a form of avoidance, a fear of what they might find in the quiet moments. This is why the third principle of the Lotus Method is so critical. Cultivate stillness. In the silence, you find your strength. The legendary Miyamoto Musashi, after his most famous duel against Sasaki Kojiro, didn't celebrate his victory. He disappeared into a cave for 2 years, not to rest, but to study his own weaknesses and to find a deeper truth. He knew that the victory was not the end, but a new beginning of introspection. True power doesn't come from constant motion but from a deliberate pause, a moment of profound quietness. This stillness is the only way to see the world with unpassionate eyes, as Musashi wrote. It's the ability to look at a situation without being consumed by it, to see the reality without the filter of your own emotions. In this space of stillness, you can finally see the world clearly. You can see the emotional state of others before they react. You can understand that most people's anger is a predictable path, that their fear narrows their choices, and that their impatience reveals their weaknesses. You can use this profound insight not to manipulate, but to navigate with wisdom and peace, choosing to act from a place of clarity rather than a place of reaction. The analogy of the lotus flower is powerful here. The lotus is a symbol of purity, enlightenment, and rebirth. It grows in the dark, muddy water, rising above the murk to blossom in the pure light. Your challenges, your distractions, your weaknesses, they are the muddy water. They are not something to be avoided, but the very ground from which your strength can emerge. By embracing a moment of daily stillness, even if it's just for 5 minutes, you are planting the seed of clarity in the mud of your daily chaos. You are learning to calm your mind and find a space of peace within the storm. And it is from this place of tranquility that the most powerful, most intentional actions are born. But stillness and reflection are not the destination. They are the forge where the warrior is crafted. Once you have seen the world with clarity, once you have found that inner peace, you must use that quiet power to act with purpose. The void is not empty. It is full of potential. The next step is to transform this inner clarity into a force that moves you forward, not with brute force, but with a disciplined intention that is as sharp as a sword. You found your stillness, a quiet well of power within the chaos. But a well of water is useless until it is drawn. This is where the fourth principle of the Lotus Method comes into play. Transform reflection into intentional action. The warrior's way is not just to see with clarity, but to act with purpose. Inspired by the disciplined monks of the Shaolin Temple, this principle is the harmony of a calm mind and a focused body, where every movement, every choice, is imbued with purpose. This is the truth that separates a warrior from a dreamer. A dreamer is stuck in endless planning. A warrior translates that plan into a single, decisive strike. The mistake most people make is trying to do 1,000 things at once. They switch between tasks, check a dozen tabs, and believe that this frantic motion is progress. But in reality, their energy is scattered, their focus is diluted, and their efforts are a series of shallow, ineffective slashes. They are like a swordsman swinging their blade wildly, hoping to hit something. A true master, on the other hand, makes one cut that is so precise, so intentional, that it ends the battle in a single moment. Miyamoto Musashi's way of strategy is to cut and slash as two different things. Slashing is merely touching the enemy. Cutting is decisive. Even if you slash strongly, if your spirit is not resolved, it is nothing more than touching. A true warrior cuts with a resolute spirit. So, how do you do it? You must learn to focus on one thing at a time with a deliberate and unwavering purpose. When you sit down to work, your mission is not to be productive, but to complete a single task with all your attention. If you are writing, your only job is to write. If you are meditating, your only job is to sit. Your mind, once scattered, now becomes a laser beam. The calm you cultivated in stillness now manifests as power in your movements. You are no longer reacting to distractions. You are acting from a place of clarity. This is the harmony between mind and body, where your mental peace leads to effective and focused actions. Think of it like this: the universe rewards focus, not chaos. When you focus your energy, your time, and your mind on a single, meaningful task, you tap into a hidden source of power. You stop simply being busy and start truly working. This is how you reclaim your days and move from a state of frantic busyness to a life of focused, powerful action. But even a focused warrior, a master of a single strike, faces a new challenge. The world of instant gratification has programmed us to expect immediate results. But the greatest transformations, like the blooming of the lotus flower, take time. And the next step on this path is to master the most difficult art of all: patience. You have learned to face the brutal truth of your internal state. You have tasted the power of flowing with resistance rather than fighting it. You found a deep, nourishing well of stillness from which to draw your power, and you have learned to translate that power into a single, intentional, and resolute action. You are becoming a warrior. But a new enemy, silent and insidious, now rises from within: impatience. You have put in the work, made the sacrifices, and yet, the grand results you so desperately crave have not yet arrived. The world has trained you for instant gratification, for quick fixes and immediate rewards. When these do not come, frustration and doubt creep in, whispering that your effort is meaningless. You begin to question everything, and in that moment, you stand on the edge of the abyss, ready to throw away all of your hard-won progress. This is the final, and perhaps most difficult, lesson of the Lotus Method: the art of patience. The lotus flower does not bloom in a single night. It grows in the dark, muddy depths of the swamp, slowly, patiently, inch by inch, until it is ready to break through the surface and unfurl its petals in the sun. This slow, deliberate process is not a flaw in its design. It is the very essence of its nature. It teaches us that true beauty, true strength, and true transformation take time. The great victories are not the result of a single heroic act, but of countless small, unseen decisions made consistently over time. Miyamoto Musashi understood this deeply. He spent years mastering the most basic cuts with a wooden sword, repeating each movement hundreds of times until it was no longer a conscious effort but a natural extension of his will. He did not become a legend overnight. He accumulated small victories over himself, day after day, year after year. He wrote that the real victory is the one against oneself. By letting go of the need for immediate results, you find a profound peace in the process itself. You learn to trust the journey, knowing that every small, intentional action is a brick in the foundation of the life you are building. You stop clinging to the future and find contentment in the present moment, in the quiet discipline of doing what needs to be done. This is the path to inner freedom. It is the acceptance of the fact that the struggle is not the price of discipline. The struggle is the discipline. It's what makes you a warrior. When you embrace this truth, the war against your own weaknesses ceases to be a burden and becomes your very nature. Like breathing, you no longer struggle to do it. You just do it. And when you reach this point, you will realize that you are no longer just an ordinary person fighting battles, but a true master of your own life, moving with a quiet and unbreakable force. You've learned to face the brutal truth of your own chaos, not with judgment, but with a quiet and unwavering awareness. You've understood that forcing change is a battle you will always lose, and that the path to true discipline is to let go of resistance, flowing like water around the rocks of your mind. You've discovered that genuine strength is not found in constant movement, but in the profound power of stillness and reflection, a place where you can see with unpassionate eyes. And you've mastered the art of translating this clarity into intentional action, a single, resolute cut that ends the battle decisively. Finally, you have embraced patience, the quiet acceptance that great things take time, just like a lotus flower blossoming from the mud. This is the Lotus Method. It is not a list of techniques to be memorized, but a new way of living, a continuous cycle of growth. Awareness is the seed you plant in the soil of your reality. Letting go is the water that allows the seed to swell and grow without bursting. Stillness is the quiet dark where the root takes hold, gathering strength. Intentional action is the stem that pushes upward, 1 inch at a time, toward the light. And patience is the slow, deliberate unfolding of the petals, a testament to the fact that beauty cannot be rushed. You have now learned the way to force your brain to do difficult things, but you've discovered that the force is not one of aggression, but of profound inner peace. You don't have to fight your mind, you simply have to understand it. You don't have to win every battle, you only have to master yourself. The battlefield is not out there, it is within. And your journey, like that of Miyamoto Musashi, is a constant pilgrimage towards self-mastery. The greatest victory is the one over yourself. The struggle isn't the price of discipline, the struggle is the discipline. And the eternal war against mediocrity isn't something you endure to become a warrior. It's what makes you a warrior, every single day, forever. Now, the question is, are you ready to begin? The first step is simply to choose one battle to start today, one weakness to face, one small, intentional action to take. The Lotus Method is waiting.